There are fighting games that frustrate you, and then there's Tekken. Because I'm convinced that Tekken 8 wasn't designed to be competitive. It was designed to test your mental stability. You don't just play this game, you endure it. And I don't mean that in a dramatic skill issue way. I mean the kind of game where you finish a match and sit there staring at your screen thinking, why am I like this? Why am I still playing this? And the wild part is, everyone still keeps coming back. So today I just want to talk about why Tekken 8 might honestly be one of the most rage-inducing fighting games ever made. But before we get into that, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analysis, etc, etc, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you like that, please be sure to hit that sub button and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. Anyways, let's just get straight into the video. First off, we have to talk about the actual gameplay of Tekken, because on paper it looks grounded. You know, if you're watching gameplay of Tekken, if you're watching the screen and you're looking at Tekken, you might think, oh, well, you know, it looks fun, you know, it looks like a solid fighting game, but in reality it is absolute chaos, and whether you take that in a good way or a bad way is your opinion. But in Tekken 8 you're dealing with constant pressure, movement that feels like it never stops, mix-ups that happen faster than your brain could even process, and situations where one mistake can spiral into a full health bar disappearing. And the worst part is, it doesn't feel like you're losing slowly. It feels like you're fine 1 second and then you blink or you make one single mistake and then you're watching a 20-second combo animation while you question your whole life choices. That kind of pacing is what makes this game so tilting, because you never feel like you're a little behind. You feel like you just got deleted. And speaking of those 20-second combos, let's talk about combos now. Tekken combos are not just damage. They are emotional experiences. You don't just get hit once, you get launched, carried across the stage, slammed into walls, extended into more damage, and then finished while you're still processing the first hit. And during all of that, you're sitting there watching, you know, you have no control, no input, no escape, and your brain is just running through every bad decision you made up leading to it. I shouldn't have pressed there. I knew that was coming. Why did I jump? Etc, etc. You're not just losing health, it's 15 seconds of regret in real time, and that builds rage faster than almost any other fighting game. I remember when I was playing Tekken, not competitively, but you know, online when I was going for trophy hunting and stuff, I would get hit with these like 30-second combos. I'd get launched into the wall would explode and launch me into the middle of the arena, and then the floor would explode and I'm still getting hit each time. It's like a 30 hit combo and it's like 30 seconds. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Obviously me, I'm a casual player, so I didn't get mad, but I could see why a lot of competitive and a lot of pro players get mad at this, because they're like, man, these combos are way too long. And on top of that, you have the aggressive meta, and this is where modern Tekken really cranks up the frustrations, is because Tekken 8 heavily encourages aggression, especially with the direction this game is going, how they wanted to, you know, take away defensive options and etc, etc, and that sounds fun, you know, it's like MKX, right? But it's until you're on the receiving end, because now instead of a game like Street Fighter where you get patient, neutral, slower pacing, more defensive play, you get constant pressure, forced decisions, non-stop offense, and situations where you feel like you're always one step behind. The game doesn't really let you breathe, and when you can't breathe in a fighting game, you start mashing, you start panicking, you start losing harder, you get tilted, and then it loops, and that's how rage builds in your mind. And not from losing, but from the feeling that you never even got to play in the first place. And another huge reason Tekken drives people insane is the knowledge checks, because a lot of the time, losing doesn't feel like I got outplayed, it feels like I didn't know that existed. You get hit by a string you didn't duck, a stance you didn't even recognize, a mix-up you didn't even understand, or a throw you didn't break, and instead of learning it instantly, you just get hit by it again the next match, and the opponent knows it. That's what makes it feel personal. It's not just skill, it's information, and if you don't have it, you suffer. And on top of that, Tekken has one of the biggest rosters in modern fighting game right now, so you gotta lab like a lot of characters, because you never know, some random guy is gonna be playing the most random character and doing the most random moves that you never even seen before, so you need to lab to be good. And then on top of that, you have toxicity. People don't say this enough, you know, the Tekken community can be intense, they could be toxic, not everyone obviously, but the competitive environment around Tekken 8 has a reputation for ego-driven playstyles, you know, key charging and taunting, stuff to get under your skin, you know, being just randomly disrespectful and having a strong emphasis on just dominating you. So when you lose, it doesn't always feel neutral. Sometimes it feels like, yeah, this guy just owned me, or like they're, very condescending towards you. And that mental layer adds fuel to the frustration, because now you're not just upset about the loss, you're also thinking about how they beat you. And a lot of players just take things way too personally. And then the developers too, they're not making anything better, because Tekken players are very vocal. The community has been asking for changes that they want. They want balance changes, aggressive system redesign, heat mechanic switches, character strength swings, nerfing people, buffing some people, and whether feedback is being properly addressed, because a lot of times the developers are hot and cold. They take 5 steps forward and then they'll take 10 steps back, or sometimes they'll take a huge leap forward, they'll take 20 steps forward, and they'll be like that for like 3 seasons, and then all of a sudden they'll hit you with a gotcha, and then they'll bring it back to how things were, and then everyone's gonna be like, what just happened? And they start questioning whether the developers are actually listening to us or not. And whether they do or not, it depends on who you ask, but that perception matters, because in gaming, perception becomes emotion. So when players feel like, okay, this thing is broken, or why hasn't this been fixed, that frustration carries directly into matches, because then players start abusing the meta, and then it makes people mad, and then they build resentment towards that player and resentment towards the developers. And then guess what happens when you're already frustrated before you even play? You tilt faster, and that's why Tekken is very, very tilting. But here's the twist: even after all that chaos, after all those long combos, the aggression, the knowledge checks, the frustration, the toxicity, people still play Tekken 8, because when it clicks, when you're actually not on the receiving end, it feels incredible. When you get that perfect punish, when you get that clean sidestep, a read that actually works, a comeback win after getting destroyed, those moments feel earned in a way few fighting games could replicate. And that's the trap. Tekken makes you angry, but then it also makes you feel like a genius when you finally understand it. And you could say the same with all the other fighting games. What you say about Tekken, you could say about Mortal Kombat, you could say about Street Fighter. All fighting games are tilting. Of course, you're gonna get mad in Street Fighter, you're gonna get mad in Mortal Kombat, Guilty Gear, Smash Bros, any other fighting game you play, but it's just more in Tekken. And I'm sure the community agrees too, because Tekken is a very rage-inducing game with all the mechanics it has. At least, in games like Street Fighter, you could be calm and collected. It's more slower pace, so if you lose, it's more like you lose because you just got outplayed, and I feel like that's less rage-inducing than just some BS happening to you, wall-to-wall combo or something. Mortal Kombat is a little rage-inducing too, because it's very toxic and all the BS mechanics as well, but it's just not on the same level as Tekken. So yeah, that's why Tekken 8 might be one of the most rage-inducing fighting games out there right now. Don't get me wrong, this is not a hate video whatsoever on Tekken 8. I'm just talking about simply why it makes you mad. It's fast, it's chaotic, it's knowledge heavy, it's emotionally draining, and it constantly puts you in situations where you feel like, I should not have lost that. But at the same time, it keeps you coming back anyways, because no matter how angry it makes you, there's always that next match, and maybe this time you'll get it right. But that's just my take on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think Tekken 8 is the most rage-inducing fighting game right now? If not, let me know in the comments which fighting game do you get mad at the most. Anyways, that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. Comment, share, and do all that stuff. I don't gotta say it. Anyways, Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.